very, very, very fortunate this year. Prabhupada is guiding us back to Goloka Vrindavan. We have no idea how fortunate we are. We have no idea at all. I don't know anyone, unless you're in the pure devotee, you wouldn't know how fortunate we are. And we're chanting only 16 rounds? Anyway, let's come back to this. So Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada says, translates, all learned one. The learned one is Sutta Goswami. In other words, the sages at Namisharanya, he's going to tell them about what he heard about Srimad Bhagavatam. And they're ready because they are there in Namisharanya to help mankind by the sacrifices they're going to perform. And Radha Maharaj puts a figure on it, 80,000 sages, 80,000. And Srila Goswami is speaking, and by the way, we are so dull in this age. Our senses are no good. Srila Goswami is speaking without a microphone to 80,000 people. Can you imagine? That's more than the football stadium, about 2 football stadiums together. That many people full without a microphone, and they can hear him. So this is how our senses have been dulled down in Kali Yuga. So they're telling him, old learned one, the sages are telling Srila Goswami, in this iron age of Kali, men have short lives, as we know, 100 years. Some people don't even get to 100 years these days. Quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Above all, always disturbed. Because our faith in Krishna is so low, we have been told that Krishna is the master and the source of both material and spiritual. What is there to worry about if we really believe in Krishna? What's there to worry about? But still, somehow, we find a way to be disturbed about material things that happen. That's how unfortunate. We're not talking about karmic zone. Devotees too. We all get disturbed. I'm one of them too. We get disturbed. Sometimes it affects our minds and even our services. Sometimes we're serving and the focus is not quite there because some material things are bothering us. What's going to happen to my child and this and that? But the child belongs to Krishna. The child belongs to Krishna. It doesn't belong to us. The child belongs to Krishna. So what can Krishna not do? So see, even a little bit of distraction is not even warranted. Even when we're doing service, even a little bit of distraction is not warranted. A little bit of distraction tells us that we don't quite realize how powerful Krishna is and what he can do at any time. Now, we're not even talking about the karmis and Kali Yuga. Very, 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 very unfortunate. Devotees are at least, we are, a good many, if you add me to it, we are conditioned souls, right? A few people in ISKCON are pure devotees, and then the rest of us are conditioned souls, but fortunate enough to turn to Krishna. And so we are going through the steps to get back to Godhead. So much mercy is built in this. But in this iron age that we are in, as the sages are saying, men have short lives. Yes, they do. For devotees, in one sense, the short lives work to our advantage. Why? Because if you have to chant Hare Krishna for 100,000 years, that's a whole lot longer than chanting, before you go back to Godhead, it's a whole lot longer than chanting Hare Krishna for 100 years and going back to Godhead. So as far as the period of time that we get to get the mercy of the Lord, to get a chance to go back to Godhead, Kali Yuga is the best situation. Time-wise, though, only time-wise, for the purpose of time. Everything else, falling apart. Two things that we have to advantage. We live a short time and we can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Those two things can take us back to Godhead if we do the chanting seriously and if we serve seriously. So men in this age, they are quarrelsome, they are lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Now, Srila Prabhupada, many times that I've heard his lectures, he keeps saying that third line. in this, the third line, Manda Sumanda Matayo, over and over and over again. And he doesn't even look this, he doesn't take the whole English translation of it. Manda is lazy, Sumanda Mata is misguided. He just says, in this age, Kali Yuga, people are dull. He just uses the words Manda Sumanda Mata. He says they're dull. That's our misfortune. But we are fortunate enough that Krishna has arranged through Lord Chaitanya for us in this Kali Yuga to have our minds awakened and have the proper direction pointed to us to go back to the most wonderful planet in all of existence. And that is Goloka Vrindavan. So this morning I was reading, and I won't get into much detail, but some of the things that happened in Goloka Vrindavan between Krishna and the gopis, I was absolutely blown away. Because this Gaga Samhita gives you even more details about the pastimes of the Lord than even Srimad Bhagavatam. If you read Gaga Samhita, you realize that Srimad Bhagavatam tells you a lot, but it's still a summary though. Even that, there's still a summary. Because the details and the details and the detail, and then on top of that, you know, the books that we have the verses. So there's the verses describing the pastimes between Krishna and the gopis in Goloka Vrindavan. And then there's the purport that adds even more to it. So you read all of this, and that's why I almost lost track of time this morning. I have to apologize that because there's such a big disparity between the disturbance in Kali Yuga and the extreme joy and pastimes going on in the spiritual world. And so if you think about this whole thing, right, and we won't get into past that, but just the fact that there's so much bliss in the spiritual world, and we're stuck trying to make it in this planet, in this yuga, and with all the disturbances that's going on, and the politics the way it is, and the natural disturbances that's going on now, and China wanting to be on top. You can just laugh at this whole thing. This place is such a mess, and somebody wants to be top. And somebody, I want to be the top. So now what? You want to be on the top of a mess? That makes sense? You can just laugh at this whole thing and say, we are so fortunate. Just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and get out of here. So Papa said nicely, go back to Godhead. Get out of here. You will never be happy here. It doesn't matter how much Lakshmi you have, you'll never be happy here. Now, a little bit that struck me about Goloka Vrindavan. It's a very, very laid back, wonderful, beautiful. Everything about it is beautiful. This is home. That's what Papa is trying to get us to go. Everything about it, beauty that you can never imagine. And then the homes. We talk about where we live, apartments and stuff. Every home is a palace. Every one of them. Every one of them. Inside the forests, they're palaces. So we can't even imagine that there could be a palace inside the forest in the woods in this place. But every one of them is. And Krishna and the activities that are going on, and Krishna is a master. He's really the master of masters. The things that he can pull at any time. I'm not even getting into the detail, but the very little that I read, only half hour of Gaga Samhita, I was blown away. Totally blown away. And then the purports added to it. I read that I have to be more blown away. So much has been said by Rupa Goswami, by Sanatana Goswami, especially because much of the purports were from him, Sanatana Goswami, describing. And Rupa Goswami is leading us through this, don't do this, nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion, all this. But Sanatana Goswami is describing, adding to the pastimes. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to go home? I'm thinking, what in the world? What are you doing here? What's a PhD about? I'm a PhD professor. So what? It doesn't give you any joy. I'm thinking myself, I've dealt with all these chemicals that eventually it just causes cancer, it causes this, and that's what I've learned. What for? What for? And I would say something about just before I finished the PhD. The entire thing is Kali Yuga, as you well know. I don't have to tell you. So here I am writing my thesis, and it hit me. Wait a minute, what am I going to use this knowledge for? So I called my professor. I'm sitting home, writing, finishing up a thesis. I called the professor that I said, so Professor Cohen, he's left his body now. Professor Cohen, so I've written all of these and the discussions and everything. What's the use of this? What am I going to use it for? What's the use of it? So, because it didn't make sense to me. Now, here, I haven't even heard about the devotees yet, and I'm already questioning this. And he tried to answer the question, but I could tell that he was dilly-dallying. He really couldn't answer the question. So he came up with one suggestion that, yeah, if you use, and I did for the chemistry. So he talked about, okay, so now if you shine light on this particular bug and this will happen. I said, thank you. I put the phone down. I said, all right, so I'm going to get PhD for it, but I feel like I wasted my time because there isn't anything absolute about this. There's so many suggestions, so many assumptions in my own thesis. So I'm saying, okay, if I'm assuming this and this and this and this is my experiment, and I'm not allowed to say that anything is factual, then what is fact then? Where is fact? And I guess Krishna answered my question, because fact is Krishna. Krishna is absolute truth. Nothing changes when it comes to Krishna. Science just keeps changing over and over and over. They come up with one article. The next time having an article will refute the article before. This is what's going on. And so it's got to the point now where ISKCON, the scholars in there are beginning to now get together to use the science that's there now and pull these scientists slowly back to Krishna consciousness, like the way Sariputta people did. Little by little, more people have now joined and formed one group in one website just to try to help these scientists, because they're lost. Just like Kali Yuga, people are lost. So that's what's happening here. Oh, learned one, in this iron age of Kali, the age of quarrel, men live short lives, they are quarrelsome. So even the articles, they go nicely, but they're really quarreling. Somebody says, happens this way. Then somebody says, no, it doesn't happen this way. So because of that, you can't even say anything is factual. This is in research now, the highest levels. You can't say anything is factual, because if you say that something is exactly that, I did my experiments, I got my results, here are my results, therefore, this is my conclusion. Later on, when other equipment comes, supposed to be better equipment, and somebody repeats your experiments and they get a different set of data and they publish it, and now they're saying something different from what you said, then what happens? You're already butting heads. And this is supposed to be research now. This is supposed to be research. So scientists butt heads all the time. They do it nicely, but they butt heads. So nobody knows what the real truth is. So see, I've been in it. That's why I can talk like that, right? And now we come back to Krishna consciousness, and everything is absolute, from the creation through Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Lord Brahma, all the planets. They don't know anything about that. They really don't. They really don't. So we take these things lightly. That's the point we're making. We don't have an idea how much better knowledge we have than even the so-called big scientists around the world. That's the point I want to make. Devotees know much better about science than the big scientists that are there, because the big scientists have so much, but a lot of it is all assumptions. All assumptions. Devotees have factual information. That is the difference. So we should really regard it. We are very, very, very fortunate. We are, and the rest of the people are misguided. This is misguidance we're talking about. People are misguided, even at the research level, they're misguided. A lot of assumptions is going on. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, devotees of the Lord are always anxious for the spiritual improvement of the general public, which is exactly how the sages in Naimisharanya are thinking. How can we improve spirituality of people in general? This is what Srila Prabhupada has spilled tons, or says gallons of blood for every single devotee to improve our spiritual life, because we will never be happy in this way. It's out of the question. Out of the question. Out of the question. Don't worry too much if you disagree with somebody. Literally. Focus on spirituality. Focus on Krishna consciousness. Try to be a good example to everyone. And try to be tolerant, because we're all in the process of what? Improving our lives. Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya's movement, ISKCON, all the way through the Parampara to Srila Prabhupada, and now to us, we have been given a gem. It's a huge gem. It's a huge crystal. And if we just take advantage of it, one devotee I remember, he described devotees like this. It's like a little boy and they're holding the trigger to an atomic bomb, but they don't know what they have in their hands. Now, he wasn't talking about atomic bomb in terms of a negative thing, that it can explode into something wonderful for all of us, but we don't realize it's right in front of us. The other example, Gogovinda Maharaj was giving one, I watched a video of it, and devotee asked him, after he finished the lecture, questions time, he asked him, and he said, they asked Gogovinda Maharaj, so Maharaj, we are so fallen, how can we get to Krishna Prema? Maharaj looked at him, Krishna Prema? But what did Lord Chaitanya do? Lord Chaitanya is giving you, he says, take it. Take it. This is what Lord Chaitanya came to. He came to give Krishna Prema freely to everybody, but it still hasn't dawned on us that we think we have to go through such a long process. He's not, Lord Chaitanya is God. He came, Krishna himself, and then as best as devotion can get, that's Radharani's mood. He came with that. And then he taught us, and he pretty too, so we can get attracted to him easily. Those of us that don't have the inside, even materially, he let himself so gorgeous. So you can just fall in love with the way he looks, and not alone, you fall in love with him, and that's fall in love with Krishna, and that's Krishna Prema, directly. Just by looking at him and doing what he's doing. And he said, just chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Therefore, if you chant enjoy, which is called Sankirtan, Kirtan, enjoy, and you stop offending devotees, because aparats will stop you. That's it. That is it. You will be happy, and if you're happy, the scripture will be wonderful to you. Chaitanya Charitamrita will make sense to you. Bhagavatam will make sense to you. 10th canto will make sense. The entire thing will make sense to you. If only you chant from your heart and stop offending devotees. Aparad is what stops you. Aparad is what stops us. And the chanting of the holy name is what takes us to Krishna Prema. It boils down to that. Everything else about hearing, sure, but we hear to get the guidance so that we don't do the wrong thing, we do the right thing. That's what hearing is for. The first 9 cantos of Bhagavatam is all to tell us what to do right and what not to do. That's wrong. That's what's there. And then when you get a good sense of it, then they open the door, a crack a little bit to what Krishna is like. And that's 10th canto. The whole 10th canto is just a little crack because there's so much that's there. There is so much that's there. So I'm just like, I'm just beside myself after I read what I read in Gaga Savita. I just couldn't believe it. So, yes, we are in Kali Yuga, but devotees are extremely fortunate if we take this process seriously. So Srila Prabhupada says, when the sages of Naimisharanya analyzed the state of affairs of the people in this age of Kali, they foresaw that men would live short lives. In Kali Yuga, the duration of life is shortened not so much of insufficient food, but because of irregular habits. Srila Prabhupada mentioned, sometimes people are saying there's not enough food. Some places they're going hungry. Not true. There are other places that are throwing food away, especially in this country. So much imbalance is what's there. Irregular habits. You see, Prabhupada's irregular habits, not because of insufficient food. Look at how much land is there. Everywhere you turn, there's so much land with trees and things on it that's not been developed for agriculture, for plants. So much is available. So much water is there. Look at the oceans. So there's no shortage, even in this planet, which is a Kali Yuga type planet, there's no shortage. We ourselves are living life, politics, and playing one thing in one nation against another, one society against another society. In other words, people are just difficult. People are just evil. And then they use things in politics, Kali Yuga politics, to try to control other people. And then, so these shortages are created artificially. It's artificial. But Krishna has given, see, Prabhupada says, oh, they're saying that there are too many people on the earth. He said, this earth, this booby, can supply foodstuffs to 10 times the population of this earth now, comfortably, no problem, 10 times. We're 7.5 billion now. The earth can supply food to 75 billion people on this earth. So where is the starvation? How did that come about? So people cause this problem. People in so-called power cause these problems because they put God consciousness aside and they think they are the controllers. That's demonic thinking. This is what's going on. So Sri Prabhupada says, duration of life is not shortened because of insufficient food, but irregular habits. By keeping regular habits and eating simple food, any man can maintain his health. In other words, we have to be regulated by keeping regular habits. And in regular habits, Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, text 17 talks about that. Regular habits. Now, so 6:17, the Sanskrit is Yukta hara viharasya, Yukta chetasa karmasu, Yukta swapna vabodasya, Yogo bhavati dukkha. English translation, he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Of course, for us, yoga is the Bhakti Yoga, chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and living a devotee life. So, this is Krishna saying, he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing yoga system. Then 2 days ago, Saturday, a video by Srila Prabhupada I saw on YouTube. He was getting ready to start a lecture, but the devotees were coughing. A lot of them were coughing. You see, Prabhupada is very concerned about everything about devotees. So the first thing, there's the video now, so I'm looking at him now. I've seen his reaction, all of that. He says, why are a lot of people coughing? Actually, I took notes on it. I'll tell you the entire story. Why are everybody coughing? And he says, he's looking at them. One devotee says, well, there's a cold, that's going around. In other words, people get affected. This other person. This Papa says, but you're not taking good care of your body? You feel cold? We gave you blankets. You need to take good care of it at night. You're not doing that. So basically, he hasn't started a lecture. He's already started, in a sense, mildly chastising the devotees. And he says, so why are you cold? Then he quoted what I just talked about, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 17. And he says, Yukta hara virayasa, Yukta chetasa karmasu, Yukta svapada bodhasya, Yoga bhavati dukkha. You have to be regulated in how you eat, how you take care of your body, how you sleep, everything else, and you won't get sick. So then he started going to details about it. It says, first of all, you use your body in serving. If you get diseased, how are you going to be able to serve? That's the first complaint. So then he talked about eating especially. So you should not eat too much and you should not eat too little. He starts training. You should not eat too much. You should not eat too little. And he says, if you make the mistake of not even eating balanced like that, then you should eat less, but not more. Then he said, if you overeat, it's going to kill you. You can survive better by under-eating, but overeating, you're going to be in all kinds of problems. And then he went to the Ayurvedic part of this. He says, if you eat more, he actually says voracious eating, you're going to get diabetes. Eventually, that's what's going to happen. He says, if you eat less, so you're undernourished, that you don't eat the right things, you're going to wind up with tuberculosis. So he talked about these two illnesses. And then, so he says, according to medical science, he says, but children, they can overeat. You can eat as much as you like. Why? Because they play around a lot. They run around a lot and they burn their energies. And that their body. So he's going to all details about it. For grihastas, what they need to hear, and for everybody else, as adults, what they also need to hear. Children don't worry too much about what they eat in terms of how much, not what they eat, but they eat healthy, but how much they eat quantity-wise. They're gonna run around and burn it all. We see them, they have so much energy, and then they come out, they eat, and hardly any of them get really big because they just burn things out so quickly. So he explained that, but it says adults should never overeat. If we eat like children, we're going to be in trouble. Then he quoted Sanatana Goswami about the physical body. At one point, Sanatana Goswami's body gave him a lot of problems. As a matter of fact, there were a lot of sores on his body. See, Prabhupada called them wet itches. He meant sores. And he explained they're dry itches and they're wet itches. And then he talked about Sanatana Goswami's body was wet itches. And I've heard it before, but it's actually sores. And they were pretty bad. But Lord Chaitanya met him. Lord Chaitanya was a spiritual master for both Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. He initiated them. So Sanatana Goswami, of course, he's pure devotee, as we well know. So Lord Chaitanya embraced Sanatana Goswami, but it was to make a point. Sanatana Goswami's body was all messed up with these sores. So when Lord Chaitanya embraced Sanatana Goswami, some of the fluid and stuff from that got on Lord Chaitanya's body, and Sanatana Goswami he was very embarrassed, extremely embarrassed. But the Lord didn't seem to mind. And Lord Chaitanya, was embracing Sanatana Goswami, didn't really know what to do. And so he felt bad. He says, I have literally offended my spiritual master. So much horrible sores, stuff has gotten on his wonderful body. And so Sanatana Goswami decided that the next day he was going to commit suicide to atone for what has happened. And the Lord is in the heart of everyone. So of course the Lord knew that Sanatana Goswami had made that decision. So the next day, Sanatana Goswami met Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya made Sanatana Goswami realize that he already knew that he, Sanatana Goswami, was planning on committing suicide because of what had happened the day before. So then Krishna said, Lord Chaitanya said, so you are going to commit suicide. You have vowed in your life to serve me. And if you commit suicide, how are you going to serve me? As a matter of fact, do you think this body is yours? Who is the owner of everything? You? Or Krishna? Krishna is the source of everything material and spiritual. And you're going to leave this body and stop serving me. You made your decision. In other words, in a sense, he was exercising his own false ego because he wasn't being a servant. The body is supposed to serve the Lord, just like our body is supposed to serve the Lord. We'll end why Papa brought up this particular pastime, because he ended it wonderfully, as he always does. So then Sanatana Goswami was told by Lord Chaitanya, why are you going to leave your body? How are you going to be able to serve me? So Sanatana Goswami just kept quiet. He felt silent. Then Lord Chaitanya began to explain. The body is to serve me, even when you have a physical body. Therefore, you have to take very good care of the body so that you can use in serving Krishna. So that was the point Srila Prabhupada was making to the devotees. You shouldn't have gotten to the point, knowing what you know, of having something come around and spread to that extent. Now you can say, well, the coronavirus is spreading. Well, that's another story. We can get to that. But this was a point that Srila Prabhupada was making, that we have to take good care of our bodies. So actually the title of this is, you should take food just to maintain your health nicely. Maintenance of our health is very, very, very important. So to come back to this, Prabhupada mentions it again in this purport. Extravagance in the matter of eating and sleeping and defending and mating, okay? This is the purport for Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, text 17, the one that he quoted. These are demands of the body. They can, if you do it too much, it can block advancement in the practice of yoga, of our book, if we overdo these things. So as far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, which is sanctified food. So we are supposed to eat prasadam and prasadam only, but also the quantity is important. In another lecture, Srila Prabhupada said, if you don't know how to eat to the level, quantity-wise, to the level you're supposed to, so you don't overeat, what you should do is drink a glass of water before you eat. And what it does is that in the stomach, the water takes up some of the space. So then when you start eating, after you eat a little bit, you eat up to a point, when you feel full, you're not really, really full. You're full with some food and the rest of it is water in your stomach. So in the end, you don't wind up eating so much. So he's saying, if you look at it from the other way, if you don't have a glass of water before you eat, and you eat till you're full, you can wind up overeating. But if you have glass of water in your stomach, then some of the volume of the stomach is taken up by the water. So when you eat and you're full, actual prasadam is not a whole lot. It's just prasadam and some water in your stomach that makes you feel full. So that's how you get around from overeating and either eating the right quantity or under eating a little bit, which will save you, but overeating is going to kill you. So this is the whole science and stuff. I didn't even learn that in school, but Papa explained it so simply. So see, I know I'm bashing regular Kali Yuga education, but this is the best thing. This is the best thing. Best thing for us. So back to the purport. So it's 8:43. All right. So we got a couple minutes, so 5 minutes or so, then we'll stop for questions. So Srila Prabhupada says, human life is especially meant for self-realization. That's to say, man should come to know what he is. Now we know that we're not this physical body. We are the soul. He says, man should come to know what the world is. This world that we're in is jail. And we're supposed to get out. As a matter of fact, the jail is not so obvious to us, but it is jail. Because in jail, you're supposed to have something that blocks you from getting out of jail, right? The jail that we know, you have barbed wire, you have walls that are very, very long and very high, so the prisoners cannot escape. That's the jail we understand. So why is this earth here called jail? Can we get out? The answer is no. But Krishna's defense, in the way we can't get out, is so beautifully done. We learned it in physics. It's called gravity. If you jump, you get pulled back. You can't get out. It's a very simple thing. He doesn't stop. You don't see any walls blocking you anywhere. You can't get off the earth. If you go on an airplane, you still have to land. You can't go anywhere. You still have to land. You can't stay in the airplane forever. If you take a spaceship, you still have to come back. Because if you get too far and you get to some places where the temperature is so bad, the whole spaceship is going to burn up anyway. It can't go anywhere. So even in space, you still have to come back to this earth. So gravity and then our own bodies, our physical bodies, are not meant for any other planet. It can only survive on this earth. Even other planets, you can't go with this body. You can't go to the moon with this body. You can't. But the moon is in the material world. You can't go to the sun. Forget it. You're going to burn up totally. You won't even get there. But Krishna goes to the sun. The soul can go to the sun because the soul is not burnt. It can't be burned. This is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 23, 24. The soul can go to the sun, but this physical body can't. So we're stuck here. So you learn about gravity. Well, gravity is the force that pulls us back here that can't get us to go anywhere. Even though we learned it in physics and passed all our exams. But you see, it is Krishna's jail, though. It is a jail force that keeps us here. So we are really stuck in this material world unless we chant, and Krishna allows us, through the mercy of Guru, to get out of here, to go back home. And that's the situation we're in. So politics and parties and this and sense gratification, cinemas, sports, gambling, all of that. They just sense gratification things, and after a while, they don't satisfy us. But if we hear Krishna Katha and hear Krishna music and we chant, it is very, very purifying. And the real joy that is in the soul will begin to come out. Even now, while we're here, Krishna has not blocked us from becoming happy. He's not blocked us. We just try to get happiness from sense gratification, and that's the problem we're going through. But if we take this process seriously and act nicely towards each other, because in the spiritual world, they act nicely towards each other. So we're practicing how to live our natural life again in the spiritual world. That's why we do what we have to. That's why the rules are here like that. So if we follow them as a matter of importance and we chant Hare Krishna from our hearts, then the joy that's in the internal joy that's in the soul will begin to come out. And then, of course, after this is all over, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we'll be allowed to go back to the place that's the most enjoyable in all of existence. Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Parikshit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada's mercy.
Jai. Very nice, and what a stimulating topic. This is, these are the questions that are being presented to Sutta Goswami. You know, it's just very, it's just very stimulating to hear, especially this principle of the artificial standard of living.
Oh, too much of it.
I just love how Srila Prabhupada writes that. You know, it's an artificial standard. You know, if we have nothing to compare it to, we think maybe it's the only standard that's there.
That's how we're deceived into thinking. Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're wealthy.
Right.
Like, I got everything. Really?
Right. Who sets this artificial standard? Like, how is this set? You know, and as devotees, what do we do to offer the alternative?
So many, but it's a good question, very good question. So many tricks have been allowed by the demons to use. So many tricks are allowed by the demons who are in power to use to get us all deceived. We'll talk about just a few of them because they have, the answer to the question. It is known that if you say something true or untrue, if you say something so many times, people will believe it. If you say the truth, a lot of times people will believe it. If you say a lie, a lot of times people will believe that too. How fortunate we are that we have been told what is factual, and we can get it in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then we can get it in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says what is fact. So devotees can't be swayed so easily. But karmis are at the mercy of whatever they hear. And so the demons know they repeat, people will believe it. So all they have to do is just set up their plans, their demonic plans, and then bombard us with it over and over again. And people begin to believe it. But our intelligence is saying something is wrong, though. That's also in people's minds. Something is wrong, but they don't quite know what it is. In other words, there's a lot of mind control going on. That's what we're really saying. Mind control has been used so much to get people to look the wrong way, thinking they're going to be happy when in fact there is no happiness. The earth should be a clear example. What's going on is the demigods, of course, have been given in charge of control of affairs. Krishna has arranged that. So when the population of each planet, but we're on Earth, so we'll just stick to the Earth. Demigods control different planets and so on. So when the population of this Earth is doing what they're doing, especially in Kali Yuga, the demigods are used to help us to understand something is wrong, because the demigods control a lot of things here, the weather and all of that, the waters, the wind, the fire, all of that is on the demigods' control. So when things go wrong, this is Bhakti Maharaj that explained to us some time back. The demigods start giving more problems to the earth, more of cataclysmic situations, earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, and this is floods. It's constant around the world. Every day something is going wrong. That is to tell people that there is something wrong in the way we're living. The more you stray away from spirituality, the worse things become. Because you see, we are in jail. And if a jailbird or jail inmate does something wrong, he's got to be punished because they don't get it. Even in the jail, they're going to be punished. or they'll extend your life, your jail sentence, or they'll do something to you inside the jail to tell you that we're trying to rehabilitate you, but you're going the wrong way. So this is on a planetary scale. This is what's going on here. But the demons still, with all of that that's happening, they still think that they're going to control things. They still think that if they are in power and Krishna is pushed out of the way, then they want to control, they're going to get control, and they are happy when they're controlling everybody else. So it's not just the money only. The money, of course, gives the power because you can do things with money. And so this is a situation that devotees are in. Now, even if you didn't understand it to that extent, Sri Prabhupada has simplified it. He says, if you chant Hare Krishna, if you hear, if you chant, if you offer obeisance, in other words, everything to get us out of this nonsense here has been provided to us. Just do that. And you can't chant 64 rounds, that's all right. You just chant 16 at least. Tell Krishna that you want to chant. Show him that you want to chant in his holy name and you want to serve him. And Sri Prabhupada will do the rest. Beg Krishna, Krishna, take them, because Kali Yuga it's bad now, it's gonna get worse. Remember, we've only done 5,000 years, 427,000 more years to go. And if you read Bhagavatam, 12 canto, 11, 12 canto, that what's gonna happen is absolutely horrible. It's absolutely horrible. So you think it's bad now? As a matter of fact, I'll say one thing about it, and you can ask other questions, looking at the time. So there was one lecture in New York. This is way back when Sri Prabhupada gave a lecture, so this is a while back when he was here. He finished the lecture, and then there was one devotee, Bhakta John. Actually, his full name is Bhakta John Favors, none other than my own spiritual master. At that time, it was Bhakta. He had just come to ISKCON, right? So I'm looking at the video. He's there. I can see him sitting down with a bead back around his neck in the audience. So Prabhupada finishes preaching. It comes to a question, and Bhakta John decides to ask a question. And he was a little fast, so when he asked the question, Prabhupada didn't hear it. So the devotees, in front of him, repeated the question. The question is, actually, it's not even a question. He just wanted to be sure what he had heard. He said, so Sri Prabhupada, so Kali Yuga is, we've done 5,000 years Kali Yuga. Is that what you said? Sri Prabhupada said, yes. That means there are 427,000 more years to go. And it's going to get very bad. So now that you know it, why don't you jump from this earth and go back before it gets too bad? That's the point Sri Prabhupada was making. That's for all of us. Why do you want to stay here? You stay here in the 6,000th year, 7,000, you think it's going to get better? No. Bhagavatam already has said it. A 50-year-old person, you see, Kali Yuga is supposed to be 100 years. By that time, when it gets really advanced, before the Kalki Avatar comes, a 50-year-old man is going to be like a 100-year-old person now. It's going to be so 50 years. 50 years. And you will be like a senior citizen is a 30-year-old person. That's a senior citizen. Trees are going to be so short. A 10-foot tree is supposed to be a very tall tree. Now 10 foot is only 3 yards. I'm like 6 feet. So only 4 feet above me. That's a very big tree. Can you imagine how little things are going to be? And of course, the diet is going to be so bad. You don't want to be a devotee. People will be cannibalistic. They will be eating human flesh. They'll be coming after devotees. I mean, it's going to be really bad because the devotees are they're vegetarian, right? Yeah, so it's better meat, literally. I don't want to get gross, but it's going to be so bad that while now we say times are bad, we have a pandemic and all of that, it's nothing compared to what's getting ready to come. You can't pay taxes. Taxes are going to be very horrible. All the way up there. It's already being increased every time. We're being deceived. They've been, it's going to be, then the taxes go up. The Republicans come, the taxes go up. Democrats come, the taxes go up. And still they keep deceiving us. So it's better to get out. It's better to get out. It's better to get out. That's why we have opportunity here. Let's not let this little petty disagreements stop our opportunities to go home. We will be kicking ourselves later on when we realize what we really have missed by the little things that we did, apparatus, to stop us from going home to a wonderful place like, Guru Vrindavan. Sri Prabhupada is trying to get us to go. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm going to ask a question in the chat that came up.
Okay.
and then it's kind of what similar to what you were saying, and then we'll take the hands in the order they came, Mother Vatsala and then Mother Mitra. So in relation to the statement, men always live, they have but short lives.
Yes.
The question is, with modern science and tech advances, human lifespan has increased in the recent decades. Could you please help me understand why Srila Prabhupada says otherwise, that they're becoming shorter, when we see that maybe they're getting a little bit longer due to medical advances?
Okay. So with the human technological advancement, the lives of people have increased, or do they seem to be increasing? There's a difference between the two. Okay? It seems to be increasing. Here we go again. Here we go again. We've been told so many things. Yes, it's happening. Except all you have to say is say it a million times and you will believe it, that our lives are increasing. Can we fight what's in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam is fact. Lifespan is getting shorter. You can always cite a few examples here and there that people have lived a little longer. You say, oh yeah, see, life is getting better. Go to some of the other continents, so-called underdeveloped continents. The age now, the lifespan now, average lifespan, is about between 55 and 60. Now, in some of the countries, including the country I come from, I was born in. So in America, people can go 70, 80, but if you go to different continents, it's come way down. It is so as a whole, the age is going down. See, we got a big planet. So don't let these demons that have come with technological thing point to America. Oh yeah, in the advanced countries. Yes, in the advanced countries, it seems to be going up. But how many advanced countries are there compared to the whole world? There are very few of them. Most of the rest of them are not technologically advanced. And life is going down, 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 down in diseases. Some of it are natural, some of it are man-made. We've been through different ones. I don't have to go through all of that. But this virus and that other virus and this other virus, it kills so many people when they were younger. So if you average it out, has the life gone up or has it gone down? So don't get deceived by the few advanced countries that use their technology to extend your life a little longer. On the planet as a whole, life is going down. Lifespan is going down. It's not true at all. The advanced countries seem to be, it looks to be that way. But even that, we suffer so many things. Cancer and this and the other thing. We pay for it. We pay for it. The technological advancement is making us suffer also. Physical body can't. Talk to the senior citizens. All kinds of diseases in the end come because of the advancement that we had before. What we're supposedly enjoying now, in the end, we're going to pay for it with our bodies. So there's no win. There's no win situation in this material world. All you do is just get out. You have to get out. And this is exactly what comes back to what Srila Prabhupada has told us to do. Chant and get out. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Sorry, I mean, I went around it, but hopefully, as a whole, the age is going down. But in advanced countries, they seem to be going up. In advanced countries are fewer than the non-advanced countries. So on the whole, statistically, it's going down. That's what we're really saying. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And kind of a follow-up to that would be that, if some countries would have the technology to advance, people's lives to allow them to live an extra 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Then a person can say, well, shouldn't that be the goal of life then, to help people, everybody have this benefit of being able to live an extra 5 or 10 years? But then say, what is the purpose of living an extra 5 or 10 years?
What's the purpose of living, period, if you're not chanting Hare Krishna? The whole point is, the entire thing is ridiculous. If you try to stay in the material world, there's quite a few questions. Okay, so we shorten it. If you're trying to stay in the material world, whether you live long or whether you live short, you're fooling yourself, because the happiness will never come. It's bottom line. So we're talking about even extending the age, but if you extend the age and you're suffering, what's the use? What's the use? You want to live 1,000 years? 1,000 years of suffering? No, I would rather live 10 years and go back to Godhead If I'm going to enjoy it there, then live 1,000 years and keep suffering in this place and get born here again, another body to suffer some more. It doesn't make any sense. It's best to get out. So the age is not even such an important thing. That's why Srila Prabhupada said that, what's happening in the purport is not because it says in Kali Yuga, the duration of life is shortened, not so much because of insufficient food, but because of irregular habits. This is exactly the point we're making. It's the irregular habits that's killing us. So as long as the irregular habits remain, we are going to be in all kinds of trouble. Whatever the age are, whether advanced countries live long or non-advanced countries live short, everybody will suffer anyway. And then we have atomic bombs waiting for us. How good is that? And the advanced countries did that. They put atomic bombs there at any time. The entire place everybody can be wiped out. Is that sensible? It isn't. Hare Krishna.
Okay, and the hands are going up, so let's see.
I know, yeah. The next.
So, Mother Vatsala, please.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. You are
Hare
very
Krishna.
enthusiastic. You discussed a lot of points, scientific view, as well as our scriptural values. Thank you so much. And my humble pranam and glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, what we are saying is true. When we lived in India, everything was so simple. We had a large family and we were living a simple life. We were following the regulative principles also, like what Prabhupada discussed. And we were not eating so much. Everything was naturally available for us. And we didn't get a lot of diseases like little kids. We are taking them to all that. But the thing is, and also I like that this text 10 verse 10 and how we are manda buddhi, like our buddhi, is so laziness and unwilling to do irregular habits. So true here. Whereas we were all regulated living. When we were living in India, we got up at 5, but here of the weather problems, we are getting a thing. This is another thing which is holding a lot of things for us. Another thing that you pointed out as a scientific person, and all these, my sons and everybody, they all did research and refuting the other people's values or other researchers. And what did they get? Finally, they just for the living sake, they have to keep on doing things, right? And how many people have realized, what is a real value in their life? And you also said, do you think all the scientists are coming back to believing the scriptures like Bhagavatam? I don't know whether I followed it correctly from you.
Okay. That point is there are devotees, ISKCON devotees, who have also been through this same type of research and so on, that formed a group now. Bhaktivedanta Institute of Higher Studies is bihstudies.org. It's there. I just got pulled into it. One sannyasi that realized that I also did a PhD said that you should join this, So it started with, Sariputta Prabhu's information is there. And then the other devotees in different areas, in religion, in technology, that is computers, chemistry, all of that. There's a geochemist, I'm a photochemist, all of them got in it. So we know all of this material stuff, right? That's the research. And so now the effort is being made by these devotees who have the science and religious background, this so-called big degrees, to begin to take what the scientists are doing, this relative knowledge, this is basically all of this assumptions that they start from there, and then pull them slowly into what is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so this is what a few devotees are doing now. Brahmatirtha Prabhu, who his name is Bob Cohen. If you read Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, Prabhupada, this devotee is asking questions. His name is Bob. Okay, he got initiated. He said, Prabhupada disciples, Brahmatirtha Prabhu. I thought, as a matter of fact, he just called me yesterday. I have 2 calls and wasn't able to talk to him. So I'm being pulled into it. The whole idea is we're gonna try to go into these people, because Sariputta has done as best as he can, but he's left his body now, right? And so the rest of us are now being pulled into this to begin to tell the scientific community, all right, this is what you think. We know that you make so many assumptions because we've also done that to get our PhDs. We've already done that. But here's the reality. Okay, so that's what's going on. Yeah, there's a plan now to try to get to universities, literally, in a sense, infiltrate the universities and see whoever would hear to bring them from whatever science they think they know to what the Papa says in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is what's going on.
How do we stop these people from believing what it is going on, untruth that is being said, and they are being, I mean, larger number of people are being made into believing certain things which is not totally true.
Very good question.
Hypnotism, like a mass hypnotism going on to just make them believe this is what is true,
Yeah.
When we came to this country, that's what we made to believe.
Yeah, it's part of the demoniac agenda. That's true. Now, the point though is, it's a very important point. We were talking about in another Bhakti Viksha class. Srila Prabhupada pointed out, it's not we as devotees that can make the difference. We are just servants. Remember? We're just servants. Okay. So Prabhupada, the gurus and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, they make the difference. We just get used. Okay. But the condition is, we ourselves as devotees who are going to assist Srila Prabhupada to convince these people, we have to take purity as a priority. We have to try to purify. In other words, we have to improve our own devotional life. The things that are good, we have to do that with more zeal. And the things that are bad, make sure that we avoid that. So in Sadhu Sangha, when we associate, these important things are there. We should be good examples. Those who are fixed up more should be better examples or good examples to those who are not, and teach so that most of us, if not all of us, get purer. Now, the reason we've said that is, Prabhupada says, the purer you are, the farther your teachings affect people's hearts. Yeah, if you're pure, you can affect people more. That's why Prabhupada could get even, hippies to become Krishna conscious. This is how pure he was. And hippies, some of the lowest in sequence, able to change them. So purity is what matters. So purity, as we said, purity is a force. So we ourselves, it starts with us. We purify, and then we'll be able to convince everywhere we go, because then Krishna will use us as tools, as servants, to actually effect the change. So all we have to do is just try to purify, and then wherever we go, Krishna will just use us.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the explanation.
Krishna's mercy. So
thank you.
About 4 more questions.
Yeah, we'll see how far we can go. Maybe we go about 9:15 or so. We're going a little later today, but same subject matter, I think.
Yeah.
People can say that's great. If not, if you have to drop off, we understand.
So who next?
Mother Mitravinda.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please.
Nice to
hear you this morning. Your classes are always phenomenal. I wanted
to. Mercy.
Yes, thank you. So I wanted to reflect on in chapter 1, first canto, first chapter, text 10, the aspect of faithlessness, which is, those who are not as fortunate as we are to have or aspire to come deeper into this process, when they struggle with faithlessness, atheism, these various degrees, it's, it just makes you want to have more compassion for people who don't even have that level of, I don't know what to call it, like trust.
You said faith, faith
and
trust.
Faith exactly. Trust. And generally it's because, there's not a belief in something higher than themselves, because, there's so many things that pull people deeper into the illusion, like money. Oh, I have money, so therefore I can do whatever I want, or education. But these kind of aspects are also incorporated into the modes of goodness, which we as devotees understand is a gateway to getting us somewhere. But it also, in chapter 14 of Bhagavad Gita, the 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Just because we're in one mode, as imperfect beings, we can be in multiple modes at various times.
Yeah, it doesn't mean we can be pulled. I knew you were going to say that. Go ahead.
But in a sense, the disease of mode of goodness is people think that they're in just the mode. They've
arrived. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but the mode of goodness will not sustain us
Exactly. No.
in that way. You can actually go backwards based on the narcissism, I'll say, attached to the mode of goodness, which we as devotees don't realize. But faithlessness, how much suffering those who are not fortunate enough to either know of the process or haven't taken to it yet. Would you please elaborate
Well,
on
you said a lot already, so we'll just look at the conclusion. That's why we need to do Sankirtan. That's why we need to do book distribution. That's why, see, we have it, they don't. Some people are in passionate ignorance, right? And even those who know the goodness, they want to go to heaven. But heaven, we know, is one of the higher jails that you go to. That's all. That won't feed them. Therefore, Shipapa, see, this book distribution is a huge thing now because you tell people that they're going to find out what the truth is, basically, through this. And then we chant to purify the atmosphere. And then basically we help in that sense. So you put the whole thing together in terms of what the problems were. But yeah, the solutions are actually with us to do Sankirtan, to do book distribution, to preach, to spread Krishna consciousness as much as possible.
Yeah, but they don't want to go to heaven because they don't have that there's no concept of anything higher than where they are. So how can we help people in that mood? I mean,
we put the information out, and Krishna is about love. The information is put out. If you tag on to it, fine. If you don't tag on to it, see, Papa said that's your business. All we can do is put it out there. To say, why wouldn't they do it? Well, now we can't force people to do what they don't want to do. But we should have it available, though. That's all we can do. Make it available. And then, those who want to, I mean, this is what is happening in Navadvip. Haridas Thakur and Lord Nityananda were begging people, please chant the holy name. Some people did, some people did not. And they're the Lord himself. What can you do? So, that's it. Sometimes when you hear Guru says, what can we do? It says they're willing to give everything, but some people would take and some people won't take. They just like the jail, I guess. What can you do? Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mother Shuman. And then Ram Sham after.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I found your class very, very inspiring, especially about the habits. And I'm going to remember drinking a glass of water before you eat.
Oh, yeah, see Papa's advice, yeah.
And I have a question. Sometimes I get confused when I hear that we should take care of our body so that we can serve Krishna more. And then on the other hand, we say that we have to get out of this world as soon as possible. So how can we think of taking care of ourselves and getting out of the material world as soon as possible?
I understand. All right. Now, see, everybody has an opportunity to live here and die at some point. This is the way it is of those of us in jail. Sometimes wishful thinking, right? It's so terrible here. The earliest I get out, the better. That's wishful thinking. But we're still going to die when we're going to die, though. Okay? So don't worry about that part. Even if you want to die tomorrow, you will die when you're ready to die. If it's tomorrow, it will happen tomorrow. And if it's happening 20 years from now, there's nothing you can do about it. And if you commit suicide, you're in trouble. You're going to be a ghost. So you can't get around that either. Okay, so the point is, keep your body healthy because the body is what's being used in serving Krishna now. We're not fortunate that those who are in the spiritual world that don't have any physical body, they have souls and they serve purely. We have these physical bodies because we're in jail. But we are, again, being pushed into the right path, Krishna consciousness. But we only have these physical bodies. So we use the physical bodies to serve. Therefore, the physical bodies has to be in good enough shape all the time so we can serve better with it. That's the first point. So then for that, if you keep your body in good as possible, then yeah, you live healthy for as long as it takes. You become a senior citizen, the body will slow down a little bit. Then whatever time you're supposed to leave, you leave. But all that time, you serve as much as your physical strength can help you to serve. That's all. But to leave, wish that you leave tomorrow. Well, King Kulashekara said the same thing too. Kulashekara said, Krishna, I remember you now, and I'm young, and now that everything is set and I can understand Krishna, let me leave my body right away. So he was saying that. So that's wishful thinking. But it's good wishful thinking, though, because we realize that we are in jail, and when we get out, we're going to be happy. Therefore, we are hoping to get out as soon as possible. But as far as service goes, we are using this physical body. We should maintain the physical body for as long as it takes to serve. Okay, so both dynamics are there. But there's no ambiguity actually when you think about it.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Next question, Prabhu.
Ram Prabhu, Ram Shambhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Very, very good session, Prabhuji. So wonderful. I mean,
Krishna's mercy.
energy, full of energy and full of inspiring.
Krishna's energy.
I don't have
it. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, just I had comment, Prabhuji. I mean,
okay.
In this beginning of the lesson and beginning of Bhagavatam, first chapter, 10th verse, this fault is shown there in the Bhagavatam. Similarly, while ending, like in the movie, we have that throughout the movie, some scenes will be going at the end of the movie, there will be happy scenes and all. So similar at the 12th canto, 3rd chapter, 51 verse, I saw that is the Kale dose nidhe rajan asti hiya eka mahan guna kirtanada eva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajat, which you have already covered. So that means in this, the translation Prabhupada Ji Maharaj said like this: my dear king, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, my dear king, although Kali Yuga is ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from all material bondage and prompted to the transcendental kingdom. Go back to home, back. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
So, you have already mentioned this. Just I wanted to, like reiterate so that our faith will be strong.
Exactly.
Kali Yuga, we have only one, good quality. We can say not many, only one good quality. Just we have to keep chanting.
To get purified, yeah.
Get purified.
And then go back to Godhead. However long we live on Kali Yuga. It's short, yeah. Hare Krishna. Good comment. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Next.
Okay, last one. Oh no, she put her hand down. Mother Vinjava.
Yes, Prabhu. The class was so nice, but my only worry is this Kali Yuga. Of course, if I want to die today, I cannot. It's okay. God has fixed me time when I was born. But that is not the thing. But I see these other people, how they work, the work conditions, and nowadays it's becoming, they're working from home, they're struggling day and night, and just no time for them. And in that, among that, they try to chant and do that too, spiritual thing. But what I'm saying is this time, God says, Krishna says, I am time. But he's not giving that much time for them. I feel so bad, Prabhu. I am retired. I have time. I can do that. But I'm seeing this other generation, younger generation, I'm seeing. They're running here and there to feed their families and to not that lavish living or anything, but just normal living. They have to run here and there.
Yeah.
So what is that? How will they come? Because my husband always used to say, we are just only 5,000 years. We are seeing these worst things when we were born. And I'm close to 70, Now I'm seeing a lot of changes.
Yeah.
But, think about other 4,000 or something, years.
427,000.
How come? How will the days in now my great-grandchildren or grandchildren or their grandchildren, how will they live? Thinking about that itself is, we feel so bad. But of course, the attachments should be there. I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
But, I'm feeling worried about this, how to go by this.
Yeah. The answer to this question is a whole lecture. It's a whole lecture. But we have to say maybe in a couple of minutes. First of all glories to you. You're very compassionate. So you're not even worried about just you, but you're worried about the generation after you. So let's just take that part only. this is very important for devotees to know. There's so much mercy built into this process. And it was described to me. I literally asked my spiritual master to get even more details about it. What we want to talk about now is, especially for your family. You talked about your children, grandchildren, and only that part of this.
Not only my family, other families also.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody.
This is for every devotee's family. So when we take this process seriously and get the mercy of Krishna, so that after this body, this particular body, any devotee that worked hard enough in Krishna consciousness, that they got the mercy of Guru and Krishna to go back to Godhead, that person's family, that person's immediate family will also leave the material world. That person's grandchildren, they will also leave. That person's great-grandchildren will also leave. That person's father and mother would go. That person's grandfather and grandmother will go. That person's great-grandmother, they will all go. Generations 3 before, and if you are pure devotee, it's 100 generations before and 100 generations now. But even we say for us, third-class people, 3 generations before and 3 generations down would go. So since you know that, Gaga Samhita describes even in greater detail how it's done. So how we leave the how, because we're too short on time. They talked about that too. It's wonderful. So see, the point we're making is, remember, you're not alone. If you take this process seriously and you go to Godhead, that many people also leave the material world with you. When we say leave the material world, because those who don't believe in Krishna, they will leave the material world, but they go to the Brahma Jyoti. It's still away from the material world, though. There will be peace there, right? Those who are, they believe in Krishna, but they didn't take Krishna consciousness seriously, or they're just religious, they get to go to the Vaikuntha planets. And you get to go to Goloka Vrindavan. This is how it's set up. All right? It's all leaving the material world, though. It's classified that way. That's why I asked Bhakti Seva to explain the details. Because so somebody's going, nobody goes to Goloka Vrindavan. You get to go. That's the best. And the rest of people who are, okay, well, depending, those who are not so good in Krishna, demonic, then they put you in, Brahma Jyoti for a while, and of course they'll bump you back to the earth again. So now you're not connected anymore, right? But at least they give you that, though. And those who are a little better religious and they're connected to a body, they get to go to the Vaikuntha planet. So they will leave heaven to go to the Vaikuntha planets. And Vishnu Dutas go find them wherever they are and take them there. This is what Gaga Samhita explained. So just take it seriously. You yourself try to go back to Godhead, and the advantage will be there for your family. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
How fortunate we are.
Because so I see my daughter just now, she was running for the work. And, she wanted to listen to this. She wanted to chant. And yesterday we did the service at the temple. But, she couldn't devote that much time.
But remember, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya said there are no hard and fast rules for chanting. So if you couldn't do it in the morning, there's no reason why you can't do it in the afternoon or in the evening. That's covered. So again, you're compassionate, so you can chant because you're retired. They have to work. But Lord Chaitanya said there's no hard and fast rules. So if he chants in the evening, that's still okay. If you can get up at Brahma Muhurta hour, that's the best, though, right? Because they chant early before they go. So it's all provided. Nothing is left out. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you very much, Parikshit Prabhu. Also to the assembly of devotees, for your attention today to this important topic.
Thank you so much.
We will continue tomorrow. Next verse, text number 11, is a very important part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Please do not these next series of verses, because this is setting the scene for which the whole rest of the Bhagavatam will be spoken on. These are the questions which will be now expanded upon.
Sage's questions.
So please tune in tonight at 5 o'clock. We have our Bhagavad Gita
happy hour,
our book study right after work. After your day, come and fill yourselves with the nectar of the Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you very much.
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you very much, Parikshit Prabhu.
Thank you.
Krishna's mercy,
Thank you.
Hare
Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.